How's it going, peeps? It is now time for the RAW results / highlights and review video. I'll go over the results of the show and some of the highlights, as well as give you guys my thoughts, my review on the show. So it all kicks off with CM Punk coming out with Paul Heyman, actually. Paul Heyman's holding the urn, they go down to the ring, they cut a promo about the match at Wrestlemania against Taker. CM Punk saying he's the 1 in the 20-1, and it's all because of the Undertaker, because Undertaker could have ended it at 20-0, and left, at last year's WrestleMania, but he decided to come back on CM Punk's show and point at his sign, the WrestleMania sign, and, now they have this matchup. Anyways, to sum up the promo, in the end, he says that Taker's streak will rest in peace. As soon as he says that, Undertaker's music hits, well, actually not his music hits, but the bell hits, lights go out, lights come back on, Taker's in the ring, hitting CM Punk, attacking CM Punk, and Paul Heyman retreats. He gets out of the ring with the urn, which falls out of the ring, so Paul Heyman grabs that, runs away backstage. CM Punk also exits the ring, runs off to the stage with Paul Heyman. That ends the segment. After that, you have Fandango making his debut, or he's supposed to be making his debut. So he comes out, and he gets on the microphone in the ring, and he starts saying his name, Fandan, and then Jericho's music hits. He comes running down the ring, attacking Fandango. Fandango runs out of the ring, and then Ziggler's music hits, and he comes out for a match against Chris Jericho. It was a pretty entertaining match for the time it got. Jericho won with the walls of Jericho. After the match, though, Big E attacks Jericho and hits his finisher on him. And then Dolph, Big E, and, AJ, they all leave, and Fandango comes back. He gets in the ring with his dancer, and they start dancing, right next to Jericho. And then she leaves, and Fandango starts attacking Jericho, punching him. And then he picks him up. Jericho starts chopping Fandango, but Fandango kicks him, and then hits his leg drop from the top rope. And then after that, he grabs a microphone and says, "It's Fandango." And then gets out of the ring, and that is pretty much it. After that, there's an interview with Sheamus. They show, what happened on SmackDown to get Sheamus' thoughts on it. It looked like Sheamus was about to say that after what happened on SmackDown, he now trusts the Big Show, something like that. But before he could say that, the Shield attacks him, and then Randy comes in for the save with a steel chair. I think he hit Roman Reigns in the back, but then they still had the numbers game, so they also take out Randy. But then Big Show comes, and he starts throwing around the members of the Shield. Pretty much, levels the playing field. The Shield then, leaves and runs away. And Big Show helps Randy up, and that's it. Mark Henry then comes out for a handicap match against the Usos. Pretty quick matchup. They actually hit their finisher, though, the top rope body splash. But Mark Henry kicked out at 2, and then he hit the World's Strongest Slam on one of them. After the match, he hit the World's Strongest Slam on the other Uso, and then on the other one, and then on the other one, and then he hit a splash on one of them, so it pretty much destroyed them. And then Antonio Cesaro is out for a match against Del Rio, so it's champion versus champion. Ricardo actually comes out in crutches, and he's got this brace on his ankle or whatever. He introduces Del Rio comes out, the match goes on, and during the matchup, at some point Jack Swagger came out, and he attacked Ricardo's ankle once again, and he drags him behind the barricade, and Del Rio sees that, so he gets out of the ring, goes after Swagger, attacks him in the crowd, super kicks him, and then Jack Swagger runs away, and the referee counts out Del Rio, so the winner by countout is Antonio Cesaro. So Del Rio goes to check on Ricardo, and then he goes back in the ring where Antonio's laughing at Ricardo, so Del Rio goes back in the ring, and takes Antonio off from the top turnbuckle since he was celebrating, and then locks on the cross armbreaker. Antonio Cesaro taps out, so Del Rio lets go, and that is it. And then the primetime players in the ring for a match against Team Hell No. Team Hell No wins after Kane hits a chokeslam on Darren Young and covers him for the victory. During the matchup, Dolph, AJ, and Big E came out to the stage to watch the matchup. They didn't interfere, though. And then after that, Triple H came out for his reaction on the stipulation for his match against Brock Lesnar. Pretty much he said that every single match he has, he fights in that matchup as if his life is on the line, as if his career is on the line. So pretty much at WrestleMania it's going to be no different. And then he tells Brock Lesnar, he sends him a message, tells him to show up at WrestleMania and fight like his life, his career I mean, his career is on the line because he's going to WrestleMania to kick Brock Lesnar's ass. And then his music hits, he gets out of the ring, but then Wade Barrett's music hits and he comes out. So him and Triple H have a stare down, and Wade Barrett kind of, motions with his head to Triple H to leave. So Triple H kicks him below the belt, low blows him, and then leaves. The Miz then comes out. He's Wade Barrett's opponent. The Miz ends up winning with the figure 4. After that, backstage, you see Team Hell No. Daniel Bryan is telling Kane at WrestleMania, I need you to be focused. I need you to be this. Kane tells him enough with the this, or I need you this, blah, blah, blah. And he says, I need you to be something. I forgot. But Daniel Bryan tells him, this is WrestleMania, and who shall not be named is going to be in the corner of Dolph Ziggler and Big E. And Daniel Bryan says, and you know how you get crazy whenever she's around or whatever, something like that. And Kane is like, what? You're the one that gets crazy when she's around and can't get over her. And they start arguing. And then Caitlyn is like, enough. And they all talk about how AJ screwed them over. And Caitlyn starts, talking trash about AJ or saying how she's crazy. And during this whole time, AJ was listening to them. So AJ gets mad at Caitlyn describing how crazy she is. So she attacks her. And Kane and Daniel Bryan separate them and get AJ out of the room. After that, the Shield actually have a 6-man tag team match. It's against Justin Gabriel, The Great Khali, and Zack Ryder. Shield wins the matchup after Seth Rollins hits a springboard. Was it a springboard? Actually, I think it was on a top turnbuckle. A jumping knee from the top turnbuckle onto Justin Gabriel. And then after the match, Khali was attacking the Shield. They attacked him and hit the triple powerbomb on the Great Khali. After that, Sheamus music hits, he comes out, and then also Randy comes out. It looks like they're just on their own, so they walk down the ramp. And then Big Show from behind the Shield, he comes out too, so, Big Show's with Sheamus and Randy. They surround the ring just like the Shield used to do, or still does. And they get in the ring, they clean house, the Shield runs out of the ring and bails out. And Big Show, Randy, and Sheamus stand tall in the ring. They then show what happens early on in the night between Chris Jericho and Fandango. And then we see Chris Jericho coming out of Vicky's office, so Josh Matthews comes up to him asking him what he was talking with Vicky about. Chris Jericho says, when you've been in this business for, as long as he has, and earned the respect he has, and accomplished as much as he has, then you have a target on your forehead. And then he says, thanks to Vicky, now Fandango gets a shot at Jericho at the biggest show of them all, WrestleMania. It's going to be Chris Jericho versus Fandango. And then he said something along the lines that after the match, Fandango will never, ever be the same again. Cody Rhodes and Damien Sandow then come out, and Damien Sandow is talking trash about Philadelphia. And then they introduce the Bella Twins, and they go down, the ring for a matchup against Rhodes Clay and Tensai. Team Rhodes Scholars won the matchup after Cody hit the disaster kick on Rhodes Clay. Afterwards, Ryback faced off against 3MB in the 3-on-1 handicap matchup. Ryback won with the Shell Shock. He actually hit the Shell Shock on both Jinder Mahal and Heath Slater at the same time. He picked both of them up for his finisher. And then they had AJ versus Caitlyn. AJ actually won the matchup by countout when Caitlyn went for a spear on the outside, but she missed and hit the barricade. AJ got back in the ring, and Caitlyn got counted out. So AJ wins a non-title matchup against Caitlyn. And then after that, it's time for the Q&A with The Rock and John Cena with the panel of Legends Hall of Famers. So Jerry the King Lawler brings out Booker T first, and then I think it was, who was it afterwards? Oh yeah, it was Mick Foley. After Mick Foley was Dusty Rhodes, and then Bret Hart. So those four are going to be asking The Rock and John Cena some questions. So Cena, Rock come out. First one asking the questions was Mick Foley. He asked John Cena if he's ready to live with the same regret he has after that first loss against The Rock. And then, I believe Bret Hart was the second question he asked. What did he ask? Oh yeah, he was like, last year, you guys, it was kind of like a Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart kind of thing where, they didn't really like each other, and now it's changed. And pretty much it was asking why it's changed or what has changed. And they answered that question, both John Cena and The Rock. And then Booker T asks why John Cena thinks he can beat The Rock this time. John Cena first answers by just saying because he has to, and The Rock then tells him, come on, tell the truth or whatever. And eventually John Cena answers with a more detailed answer. And then Dusty Rhodes is the last one. He asks both Cena and The Rock what they really want at WrestleMania. John Cena ends up answering that he really wants to beat The Rock and make him feel what John Cena felt and pretty much give him a loss that will haunt him for life. And then The Rock then starts talking and eventually says, you know, WrestleMania, Cena has a chance to prove everybody wrong and this and that. But how about he tries to prove the people wrong tonight? So then The Rock goes in the middle of the ring. John Cena takes off his hat, his shirts. They stare down. John Cena gives The Rock the "you can't see me" taunt. Rock pushes him. John Cena gets The Rock up for the AA, but The Rock gets off John Cena's shoulders and then hits a rock bottom on John Cena, taking him out. Rock's music hits and he leaves with the WWE Championship to end the show. So, what did I think about the show? Highlights, in my opinion. Highlights for me. Chris Jericho attacking Fandango, and Fandango attacking Chris Jericho. And Chris Jericho winning a matchup. He hasn't won a matchup in a long time, so I was happy about that. And I was impressed with r.i.p lifting up both Heath Slater and Jinder Mahal. I know he's lifted two people up in the past for the Shell Shock, but those two people, for the most part, most of the time, were, you know, random jobbers who really didn't weigh much at all. While Jinder Mahal and Heath Slater both weigh around 200 something pounds. So that's over 400 pounds over his shoulders. And yeah, that is pretty much it. As far as, you know, my review, my thoughts on the show, a score, I thought it was a decent Raw. I'd give it like a 6.5, maybe 7 on 10. So that is pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, you can click that like button. I'd really appreciate it. And you can expect a video from me tomorrow. With that said, I'm out, guys. See ya.